I want to talk today just simply about the basics of getting faster, more endurance from an endurance standpoint. So we got to start somewhere, and I want to start this conversation with energy and calorie. Calorie is a unit of energy, and our bodies run on three sources of energy. You got protein, essentially, you got carbs, and you got fats. Those are our essential fuel sources, our three major fuel sources. And so carbs and protein will have 4 calories per gram, 4 units of energy per gram. Our bodies can carry about, on average, 2,000 to 2,500 carbs, energy of carbohydrates at one time. Now, when we go to fat is 9 calories per gram. So when you take it and you compare it to carbs or protein, it is more than twice as energetic as the other fuel sources. Most of us are carrying thousands and thousands and thousands of calories of fat, which is stored up as energy, which is how we evolved. We were able to carry energy around with us, that way we could tap into that when we were moving and on the move or hunting. We had these energy sources that we could hang on to. And when we were moving in a way that was probably long and slow. We had a little bit of burst maybe during a hunt, or maybe we're getting chased or whatever. But the point is, when we were on the move, we were consistent, but it was probably slow hiking, walking, traversing, stuff like that. That's how our bodies evolved. So when you look at the way that you get more endurance, we first have to remember what are our fuel sources and why is each fuel source as potent or not potent as each other. So fat by far is the most potent fuel source, which makes a lot of sense because when we are in a zone 1 or a zone 2, aka low intensity type of aerobic activity, we're burning more fat than our carbs and our protein. That is why we're able to sustain these long, slow speeds, whether we're hiking or cycling or swimming or whatever we're doing low intensity. We're tapping into these fuel sources that are more abundant. They're more readily available in our body, which is the way with it we were made. So how does this all tie into getting faster and more efficient? So when you look at it from the fuel standpoint, think of it like this. If you're running a mile at 12 minutes a mile at 135 beats per minute, right? That's a relative zone 1, zone 2 for most of us. 135 beats per minute, you're running 12 minutes a mile. That means that you're burning more fat as fuel than others, than your carbs and your protein. Now, as you spend more time burning at this 135 mark, because this is a good spot to burn more fat, more efficient at burning fat, not carbs, but fat, all of a sudden what's going to happen is because you're spending more time inside this space, your body's like, oh, I know how to do this better. I know how to do this more effectively. So all of a sudden your 12-minute per mile run drops to 11. Then it drops to 10. Then it drops to 9. But you're still at 135 beats per minute. You're still burning that fuel source. It's not all of a sudden you're running at 160 beats a minute and running a 6-minute mile. That's not going to get you faster, longer, over a more consistent period of time. We have to teach our bodies how to burn fat. And the only way that I've learned how to do it, and I think most people know how to do it, is just like you got to go into this intensity where your body knows and knows where to tap into that. Now, if you don't have a heart rate monitor, it doesn't matter. you can just use the talk test. The talk test is simple as this. As I'm talking right now, if I can speak one sentence or more at a time, maybe 1 to 2 sentences at a time, I'm probably at a zone 1 or a zone 2. Having a conversation with somebody as I cycle or as I run. If I can do 1 or 2 sentences at one time without stopping, I'm in an aerobic, aerobic heart rate that is sustainable to burning more fat. And that is the basis of how to get consistently faster year after year, is just learning how to build and burn fat more effectively. Now here's another crux of it too, is like our bodies don't know distance. Like my heart doesn't understand a mile or a kilometer or anything like that. It only knows how many beats is it beating per minute and what is the fuel source that it takes to burn that fuel. That's all that it knows. It doesn't know anything more than that. So it's like it doesn't know distance. It just knows beats per minute and what does it take to fuel that. So once you understand what fuel source burns the most effective and is the most potent, where do I burn that, meaning what heart rate zone or what area or what does it take to be able to burn that fat, then you can just stay right there. You don't even have to do speed work at all to get fast. There was a German teacher, I believe, maybe like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. He won the Ironman World Championship age division. He didn't do any speed work because he got so efficient at burning fat that his mile time was like, and zone 2 was like, 6 minutes a mile because he was so fast at burning fat. So it didn't matter. He didn't really need the speed. When it comes to endurance, burning fat is the apex of everything. So I hoped you learned a little bit of something today on how to burn fat more effectively. What does it mean to actually burn fat? What does the energetic metric of our major fuel sources and why is it important to burn that fat? And how do we adapt? I hope you learned something from that. That's how I learned. And it's a building block to making you faster and faster and faster throughout your career. You can always be more efficient at burning fat. Subscribe here for more if you liked it. And any questions, leave it in the comments. All right, off you go. 3, 2, 1.